Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Embodied Enlightenment. I am Carrie Mary. I'm your host, and I'm so excited that you are here. We are all about igniting conscious thought and turning that into conscious action. And today we are talking about conscious sales and how that is truly an act of love. And I promise you, this podcast is going to blow you away because we are constantly selling all the time. And I have the sales expert himself, Jason Campbell, with me. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here, Carrie. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, and Jason, if you guys don't know him, you should. He is one of the sales and marketing leaders at Mindvalley. He is a growth hacker with high energy, wits of ninja skills. He gets things done, and he absolutely loves to sell. He is a host, an international speaker, and really responsible for the primary strategic partnerships and sales at Mindvalley. And he is just an incredible individual. So Jason, thank you so much for being here again. Thank you so much for connecting with my tribe members about really how sales is this act of service.
And I was going to say, you do such a fantastic job to make your listeners understand that, them spending the time with you on this show, you have their best intention at heart. You want to make sure they're getting as much value as possible. And like you said, we are selling all the time. And so I thought it was beautiful, the sale that you made for one of the more precious resources, which is people's time. You make sure they understand that the time that they're going to be spending on this call together is going to be worth it. And so even that act was a small act of love that came from the heart. And I think the people can feel it when they log to your podcast.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. But it's so true, right? We're all working within this energetic exchange that is language. And we think that sales is this monetary attachment to the energetic exchange of all that is. But selling really is just a way to recognize the exchange of value.
And, the whole concept of money, and, before we even talk about sales, we should maybe talk a bit about how a lot of people have blocks when it comes to money. And it seems like this whole concept of money comes very loaded with energies because growing up, we've had a lot of different thoughts that came from a lot of our leaders, teachers, parents about what money is. And with those charges, there's a lot of behaviors that come. So one of the things I was going to frame for your listeners here is the fact that, just like anything else, money is just energy. And it's actually a beautiful energy because in essence, as we're communicating and we're collaborating as humans here on this planet, what is the simplest way that we can understand as a common language of energy? What is it that something is worth? And this was what created money. Money was created as an energetic tool that can say, well, if I'm having a cup of coffee, what is this worth to me in energy for me to have that in the morning, as opposed to how much is it worth for you to make it and offer it to me in the morning? And if we can find a balance there, that's when an exchange happens. And it just became this beautiful manifestation that makes it so much easier for us to just be able to understand what is one of the elements of an exchange of energy, which is the value of the goods or services or time, and something that we actually have a common understanding of its value. I know that gets a little more on the complicated side, but when you understand that money is just this tool, it's just this very amazing, tangible tool that we can use to exchange energy, you don't need to carry all the baggage that usually comes with it.
So easy to say, but there's a lot of work that goes into understanding what the baggage is and how the baggage was formed in order to actually untangle those energetic blockages that we all create based on our belief systems and the indoctrination from that which we see, right? How we've seen our parents kind of play within the world of money, how we see people that we perceive as being successful play within the world of money. So there's so many different ways in which we create belief systems around money, but I love how you truly see money as this act of love and service and exchange. And I'm a believer of you, the same as you, that everything is energy. And we have just decided as a human race to put a really big belief system in place that money, something that literally grows on trees, something that is paper, that is not even backed up by resources from the earth, is worth X value.
Money is basically, the value of money is basically our collective consciousness of our understanding of how much it's worth if you're looking at all the different currencies in the world. Now, in the process of selling, money is just one of the elements that takes on a big portion of the exchange. The other big portion that people will perceive is the service or the product, or time that'll be used for whatever it is that you're exchanging with. And one of the things I like introducing to people who are looking at this formula is every time that there's an energy exchange, there's also a primary emotion. And so depending on the emotion that you decide to have come up when you make this exchange, it's either going to make a usage of energy that kind of drains the planet, or it's going to come from this renewable, enlightened source of emotion that's actually going to increase the collective consciousness of the planet. And this is where I'm thinking about, all the people that have these resistance around selling. And we've talked about it already a little bit is, if you're doing a sale and let's say you're the person selling and it comes from a place of fear, which is a lot of where people stand. If it's not fear, sometimes it's guilt. Sometimes it's shame. Like, oh my God, I need to go and bother these people. I don't want to do that. Or, oh my God, like I don't know if I should be charging this much for my time, especially if you're a self-employed or you're a consultant. Now your time is what you're selling. There's a lot of things that get triggered, but I will tell you, going through the process of activating sales on a regular basis is a constant personal growth check-in of what are the emotions that come in at every time you make the exchange. Because every time the exchange of energy happens within a sale, which can just be from a conversation of asking someone out for a coffee or for going out to dinner, or it could be because you're trying to close $1 billion deal. All of it is just an exchange between either a single or a collective of conscious beings that you're trying to make energy flow. Now, what's the primary emotion? This is what people really need to be conscious about. And if it comes from that fear paradigm, or it comes from that guilt paradigm, or it comes from anything that's of a lower vibration, and I'm going to divide it into 3 categories here so people can do a bit of a self-assessment here. But if I'm thinking fear and everything below, the shame, the guilt, it's really that you have massive resistance towards doing the sale. A lot of times you need to go back in that early childhood, because if the parents have, we all have a story when we grow up, which is, you want something so bad and you're like, hey, I want to have that new Nintendo, or hey, I want to get, that new toy that just came out. And then you beg your parents and then you just ask, and then the parents say no. Then you ask again. As a kid, we are natural salespeople. We have no filter, and we just come from a really innocent energy or emotion. And so we keep asking. But then as the parents, let's say they're in a bad mood or we're in a difficult financial situation as a family, there's always that kind of trigger moment that I see happen in a lot of people's lives. I know I've seen it happen in mine, is that you'll keep asking maybe 3, 4. You will follow up many times as a child. And then when it comes to like the 5th or 6th time that you keep asking your parents, they'll turn around and they'll kind of snap at you. And it'll be, hey, no means no. Stop asking. Now here's the people that you look up to as your gods, your caretakers, the people that you just seek their validation and love, just had a switch of emotion and tell you no, and now you're feeling hurt, you're feeling pain. And that instance actually creates a lot of the paradigms of reality that comes around sales for a lot of people growing up, because that memory of pain still sits in the subconscious. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's everything that I teach as well. It's about understanding all of the beliefs that you've established that are truly submerged within the subconscious experience of you, and really going back and giving yourself permission to acknowledge that which is there, to create more fluidity within the energy, to move it and shift into a new way of experiencing co-creation. And sales is love.
There you go. And so this is usually one of the prime routes for people to investigate. So if that's happened, look into it. Another one, when you keep, let's say you looked at that and you've done some work. Another one that comes up is usually what we see in popular media. And you usually have that cartoon image of a used car salesman.
Yeah.
That's usually what you'll see. I mean, Better Call Saul, I think, is one of the TV shows which talks about like crooked lawyers. And so you're seeing all these like dirty sales examples. Even movies such as The Wolf of Wall Street, you see the power that sales has. And let's not make any mistake here. Sales is an extremely powerful skill. I would say the single most powerful skill set for someone who wants to make an impact in the world. But what kind of impact do you want to do? Because it's very easy to find yourself at these kind of level of vibrations, I'd say, around pride. And pride is a powerful emotion because unlike where fear and guilt, what typically happens when you're operating from those emotions, no sale happens. When you come from a position of pride, the sale usually happens, but it's made from a very me-centered universe point of view. And so you're not thinking of the collective energy that's happening around the world. You're very much in a take position. And I'd urge people to kind of pay attention to that, because the debt always gets paid. When I paint a formula of an energy exchange, the formula is always equal. It's either you put in an energy, there's going to be an energy that takes out. If you're operating from an energy of pride and you're depriving someone else within the equation of the transaction, this person's going to feel a bit drained out because you've squeezed them more than what you could have offered them. And in your case, those transactions of pride, they seem to have a way of coming back to bite you. I know in my life, I've had these times where I've had to sell these very expensive products. And I remember getting off the phone after making a sale for a very large quantity for a person that I don't think was the most qualified to actually continue with the program that I sold them. To give the punchline of the story is that this person ended up not paying the bill after I hung up. So the sale never closed, but I had closed him on the phone when he was thinking of saying no. I used my persuasion tactics to get them excited, energized and wanting to do. And I felt horrible after. I was like, wow, I can be very manipulative. And that kind of energy that sits with you usually makes you want to distract yourself or numb yourself from really feeling what you've just processed.
Or go after bigger sales.
Well, the thing is you go after the bigger sales thinking it's going to be the solution.
Mm-hmm. And
it just digs a bigger hole.
Yeah.
And so, in my case, I resulted to alcohol. Like I'd end up drinking. I wouldn't want to think about the things that I do. And so I'd find myself wanting to drink after a hard day of doing a lot of these sales that didn't come from the right kind of energy. So there's always a price to pay if you're coming from lower vibrations. What I want to inspire people on the call by the end of this is to make them understand what happens when you decide to switch from love or above when it comes to the energy you choose for sales.
So if someone's brand new into the business world, everyone's selling all the time. So I'm not even going to classify if you're brand new to the business world. What is one piece of advice that you could provide the listeners right now in an opportunity for them to switch into this love vibration when they're approaching their life from a place of sales?
Yeah, there's three main things that they should take away. And I'd want them to just understand this concept. And then I want to give a very tangible step. The first one is there's three loves that need to happen if you're going to sell from love. Number one, you need to love the product that you're selling. Okay. If what you're selling, is not worth the price that you're selling and the investment that the person needs to make to get or to use this product, work on fixing the product. That's the number one priority I tell people. Like if you feel a lot of resistance because the product doesn't seem to match up, fix the product. Whether it's, you need to go to your senior teams to say, hey, we'd love to make these changes because I'm seeing the feedback, collect the feedback, and really genuinely make every effort possible to either improve the product or adjust the price. The second is always operate from a place of loving the client. Mm-hmm. Love the client. Whoever you're transacting with should be the person you love. Now, remember we were talking about pride. When you sell from pride, do you know who the client is?
No, because it's you.
It's yourself.
Yeah.
So you're selling for your own ego, for your own satisfaction. That's when it gets dangerous because you're not connecting with the consciousness of everyone else that you're interacting with in a sale. So here's one thing. If you're wanting to sell from love, you need to have love for the client. The bigger of an impact you're going to make in the world, which is also going to correlate to how big of a financial reward you get for your effort, is actually related to how big do you consider the client to be. Is it just the person you're selling to? Is it its entire family? Is it the entire person and the company you're representing? Is it the entire world that you're representing in every sale, saying, wow, if I sell another can of this Coca-Cola, I might be actually causing this person an instant satisfaction, but might cause obesity. Thus, I don't think I want to make this transaction. I need to pick a different product. That's going from a very large consciousness and consideration of what is the impact of every sale you make. Bigger the impact, better the ties to your financial reward in most cases. Elon Musk wants to make the, human species an interplanetary species. He's thinking of a whole lot of people, and the bank account shows it. Now, the one that is the hardest, and fact is, I haven't really solved this one because it's a continuous journey that we're all on. And this is going to be the biggest takeaway for people listening. If you truly want to sell from love, it's the last love in the triad, which is self-love. Self-love. It comes back down to self-love. Everything that comes from fear, everything that comes from shame, guilt, they all have to do with healing wounds, as well as understanding that when you get rejected in a sale, it's not about you. It's just that the person doesn't need whatever it is that you're offering. It has nothing to do with you. So a lot of people feel that rejection. Here's what I would urge anybody who's looking to just get a bit more experience in sales is find yourself in a scenario where you can have a very fast cycle of rejection.
Okay.
For me, this was actually supporting a real estate company in my local town where I had to pick up the phone and they had a list of people that requested a list of properties, and I would call them. I would follow a script. I had 100 people to call a day. The first call I made was terrifying because I was like, if this person isn't happy to hear from me, that means that I'm not loved, which means I'm a non-lovable person, means I'm going to be forever alone. And I'm shaking. Like, your mental chatter goes crazy on the first times you do that. And plus, like, I don't want to be a telemarketer. Is this what it is? And then you're creating all these things come at you. But putting yourself in that situation where you can't back out and you can actually interact in a very rapid succession, for me, it was picking up the phone. If you can find yourself doing door to door, and if
most people that are listening are in America. I don't know if I would recommend that. These are not Canadians, okay?
Oh,
these are Americans. They own guns.
Well, just if you knock at the door with a smile, and maybe it's just because there's a charity you want to support. An easy thing you could do is, let's say you want to support the Red Cross. Let's say you're putting in $200. I'm going to use a random example. You're putting in $200 for Red Cross, and you want to go and collect more donations. You just want to make an effort using time. So you actually go to your neighbors, just say, hey, I just want to have an opportunity to meet the neighbors. I just put in $200 to donate to the Red Cross. I just want to see if you'd be willing to do the same. I just want an opportunity to come and meet some neighbors and see if we could actually do a collective good. Very simple action step here. It's all based in good. It's about giving to charity. It's giving you an opportunity to meet your neighbors. Go and knock at 20 doors. And then document the mental chatter that happens at every time you see that other person react to you. Are they slamming the door? Do they think you're a certain type of group that you've already got stereotypes of who that could be that's coming to knock at your door and ask for something? Do you feel rejection if they say, oh, I don't want to give you money? Or what if someone says, hey, you know what? I've been trying to find something nice to do, and this is actually a cool opportunity. Let's do it. And even if they feel skeptical about giving you the money, which frankly I would, you can just give them the instructions on how to do it on the website, but just go do something nice for people around. And you're kind of doing it for selfish reasons, because here's what's going to happen is you're going to get familiar with this whole cycle of rejection and realize that it's not about you. And you're also going to start tweaking the way that you say hi to these people and realize it's not a big deal. It's just you trying to do an energy exchange. And if people aren't ready to do it, then it has nothing to do with you. It's fine. And once you get comfortable with that, you build up, you start climbing higher into not needing to deal with the shame and the guilt as much, and you can really start building your experience. So now you can't use sales as a crutch that prevents you from making the impact that you really want to make in the world. Does that make sense?
100%. Such beautiful advice. I love it.
And so the one thing I'd love to also give people a chance to understand is, when you read books about sales, a lot of people are like, wow, these are really dark. These could be like manipulative tactics. And I've seen some people resist reading any kind of books on sales and marketing. And I'd love to, redefine that as well, so people can get excited about looking at books such as Influence, which is, the triggers of influence that make people take decisions, or, the Spin Selling, which is a book that teaches you how to really communicate with people. And this is what it really is once you start acknowledging and you've dealt with the rejection issues that happen around sales, you'll start getting curious. And when you start reading these books that talk about, how to get people to take decisions, I'll give you a hint. Most of them focus on listening, because most salespeople think, oh my God, I need to talk more. I'd say 80% of the books out there are going to remind you that most of your sale comes from listening. And what you're really trying to do every time you pick up one of those books is understand the language that is necessary for people to truly understand the value of what you're giving them. Because all we're trying to do is understand the translation. If I have a book that I want to sell somebody, I really need people to understand what does it mean to them. Fact is, if I give you a book on sales and you're doing sales every single month and I get to improve your sales by 5% by you buying that book could be worth $10,000 to you, but I'm selling at $20. I will be coming with a lot of enthusiasm to get you to read that book because I understand how much more value you're getting from this book and the returns you're going to get than what it's going to cost you. That's amazing. If somebody else is, has nothing to do with sales, has no interest, they're just, doing a certain lifestyle that this will not impact them one bit, that book is worth zero to them. And when you go to offer that book to them and you understand that, you won't feel any rejection about the fact that they don't want to buy your book. You'll actually understand that actually this is not valuable to them, which comes back to one of the loves, which is love the client. And if you love the client enough, you will pay attention. You will listen to them and see, what is it that I'm offering? Is it worth it to them? How much? And is my product going to cost them less than what they're asking in return? And this is where the equation is going to balance again. Because if you are giving them something that is so much more value to them than what you're asking in return, then that equation gets balanced with an emotion. And that's where love comes in. And now you'll feel good about making that sale. You'll be like, wow, this person, they bought this book and it was worth $10,000 to them and it only cost me $10 to make, $20 to sale. I made money. I'm extremely excited. They're making money. They're super happy. Now you're happy. I'm happy. And there was an exchange of energy and then the world's a better place. Done. You've had a good day.
You can give yourself a pat on the back.
Exactly. So hopefully the resistance around sales really starts melting when you start operating from a very different paradigm here.
I mean, there is no reason to have any resistance around sales, but I can tell everyone that's listening that I was a sales guru when I worked for another company, and starting my own company, more resistance came up. So just being conscious to it and witnessing things that you still need to clear. I also think it's really interesting in the personal development world. How can you provide people data on how this will impact their life? Because it's impacting their energetic essence of who they are. So how do you craft a message essentially to get them to recognize that the value is so much more than anything in the world of form? So you can't say it's going to give you a 5% increase of return. It's going to allow you to find your perfect husband. Like, there aren't results like that. It's just, you're going to be a lot more fucking happy. Mm-hmm. You're going to be vibrating at a higher frequency, which is going to allow you to have a life that's filled with so much more ease. But would love to get your kind of opinion on navigating that, if there are any individuals out there in the personal development space, if there's any coaches listening, or if there's any healers like myself that are trying to hone their message and increase their sales.
Robert Cialdini, Influence. Okay. That's a book that is a Bible for anybody who's getting into this sales, marketing, especially in the digital space particularly, because if I have a service that I offer that really gives happiness, what are the things that will make people understand that the best possible? Because technically it's kind of like, it's not something that people feel they want, but once they get it, they kind of understand it. So how do you get them to cross that bridge? Influence is going to give some amazing insights as to what are the triggers that gets people to actually take a decision. And then the other book that I would highly recommend is actually anything from this author called Jay Abraham. Jay Abraham is a legend in the field. He's one of the highest paid marketing and sales consultants in the world. And he has a book, which I hope I'm saying the title right, which is Getting Everything You Want Out of All You've Already Got. And I have this book on my shelf. Every time I get lost in business and I'm trying to understand what are ways that I could, bring the business to have a lot more sales happening, this book is filled with ideas. And when you just pick up that book, you will have at least 6 things to implement by the end of the first chapter. It's one of those books. And one of the things they talk a lot about, which is very important in the industry for people that are coaches, trainers, healers, etc., is risk reversal. There's a whole chapter that talks about that. What you need to look into are what are the ways that somebody can get business with you where you take on all the risk. Because the fact is, there's a lot of risk if people don't understand who you are, what your product is. It's not as tangible as saying, hey, have this book or have this cup of coffee. You're talking about something that's a service. And in the services industry, you need to see ways that you can do risk reversal. We're talking, what's your money back guarantee? Are you allowing free trials? Are you making it so that there's a certain result that people can see, that if they don't get that specific result, they can request their money back after 10 days of the call, after 3 months from the call? Like, think radical. And most of the people have a lot of fear come up when you start talking about risk reversal strategies, being like, oh my God, I can't do that. Everybody's going to come and do business with me and everyone's going to ask a refund. Not the case.
No.
It's not the case. This is your insecurities and those fears and those, you need to start digging again. But the craziest thing that'll typically happen is you have a control group and then this variation. If let's say you don't give any kind of guarantee, you just, you charge people, you'll do business with 10 people and you might have 8 that are happy. Not bad. Okay. The other scenario, let's say you tell them, hey, as long as you do coaching with me, know that at any point, and this is crazy, I've never tested this, but I'd be curious to hear of a coach that would be bold enough to do this, is for every dollar that you spend me, know that at any time in our working relationship together, you can always ask for a full money back return, no matter how many sessions we had, no matter how long after we've had our sessions together. You'd end up probably doing about 200 transactions now. And out of that, let's say 20 get a refund. Your business is still further ahead and you've had experience delivering your service to more people. You've had more case studies. You've had more happy people. And the amount of people that actually are looking to just take your service and then get a full refund, just really taking advantage of you. Think about the energy that they're coming from. And then if you can come from just this abundant energy, if you're able to give with that kind of bold guarantee, it just shows how much power you have. And it'll just keep coming back and the universe will keep gifting you. And so that's why I'm saying the bolder the guarantee, the more surprised you'll be on how you can grow your business and how much more you can attract.
Amen, brother. That's amazing. Yep. Thank you so much for that little nugget.
No worries.
So if there's one thing that is coming through you right now that you have to share with the audience, what is that thing? What do you need to tell them?
Don't be afraid of sales. Whether it's you having a salesperson come to you or you being the salesperson, don't be afraid. Approach it with curiosity and approach it with a sense that there's always something to learn in every interaction. If someone's coming to sell to you, listen, see if you can learn something. And it's okay to say no. You can say no at any time. And then second is when you're making the sale, understand what you're giving, come from a place of love, and that'll be beautiful.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much again for being here and for dropping all the knowledge bombs on us.
It was my pleasure, Carrie. It was a great time on the session too.
Yes. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. This has been another episode of Embodied Enlightenment, and we're going to give you that sales challenge. So as Jason said, go out and knock on 20 doors and make sure you comment below that you're in for the challenge, how the challenge is going, and give us some feedback over on iTunes. And we will hear from you next week. Thank you again so much for being here. Much love.
Take care, everyone.